My neighbor ended my dog's life for barking too loud, and the cops refused to help, so I took matters into my own hands. I woke up one day hearing loud bang-bang sounds right outside my house, only to find my beloved dog covered in a pool of red right by the fence. Cooper was my favorite golden retriever in the world, and he would brighten the room simply by walking in. He had supported me when my family was in a plane crash and would lick my face relentlessly every time I cried. But now he was lying on the ground with a huge hole in his torso. Frank, the retired cop who had moved in next door just 2 days ago, was holding his strap in one hand and a beer bottle in the other. He looked straight at me and said, "It was barking too loud, so I silenced him. No need to thank me." He actually looked proud of his actions and was smiling even though I was sobbing uncontrollably. He never offered me an apology or even a flicker of guilt. I called the cops. They showed up, talked to Frank for 10 seconds, and then turned to me like I was the problem. They told me he had a right to defend himself if he felt threatened, and that it was my dog's fault for provoking him. Cooper's body was still in our yard, on my side of the fence, but they didn't even ask to see it. They just left after telling me, "Be careful, or you might end up like your dog." I buried Cooper in my backyard with a stone that said, "My best friend," and then I snapped. I didn't grieve or cry anymore, and instead, I just started planning. Frank didn't know I worked at a legal record digitizing center downtown. Boring job, but it meant I had access, so I started digging. It took me 2 days to pull his personnel file from the archives, and I wasn't shocked to find complaints of excessive force and misuse of authority. I found a woman who said he fractured her wrist during an arrest for a measly noise complaint call. Another said he tried to plant a white bag in her car, but got caught on a camera. I reached out to them and told them what happened to Cooper. Then I told them I was looking to make things even. They were still angry, so they agreed pretty quickly. They reopened their complaints all at once, while I started making new ones. Suddenly, everyone in town knew of this retired officer who had a problem with justice. While the police station was trying to dodge calls and delay the investigation, I looked deeper and found his pension fraud. He'd claimed disability from a back injury in 2014. The only problem? I found him photographed lifting a canoe into a truck at a department retreat 3 weeks later and bowling at an arcade the next day. I forwarded it all to the pension board and even drew them a timeline. But it wasn't enough for him to be exposed. I wanted him to feel it. So one night, I waited until his lights were out, broke into his garage, found his vintage Triumph motorcycle, and drained the oil. I poured gallons of sugar in the tank, which would completely ruin his prized possession. Next morning, I watched him yell so hard his face turned purple. He ran outside his house and started screaming, asking people if they had seen who went into his garage. He actually shed some tears when no one even replied to his words. Then came Thursday. Frank went to his bowling night again because he didn't know the pension board now had all the proof they needed. In the middle of his game, someone tapped on his shoulder and tackled him to the ground when he tried to yell. 10 minutes later, he was in cuffs for fraud and evidence tampering. Frank lost his pension, his firearm license, and his reputation. His house went up for sale 2 weeks later. I heard he's staying in a motel 3 towns over. Nobody visits. Nobody talks to him. After he was gone, I got a new dog named Luna. We take long walks, and sometimes we go past Frank's old house. She barks once in a while, but no one shoots her for it.